The sponsor of this episode is Chadwell Supply, an OG in the multifamily industry. Chadwell Supply is the largest privately owned maintenance and repair supplier, and they deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. To find out how Chadwell Supply will make your day better, visit www.chadwellsupply.com/difference.
Welcome to Thriving in Multifamily, where we bring you thought-provoking conversations and inspiring stories from our industry experts. My name is Lissi Daniels, and I am your host today. And our episode is brought to you also by Multifamily Media Network. In today's episode, I am dabbling into our women in multifamily, where we have a fantastic guest on my episode today, which I'm excited to hear her story, but also get some insights as well. Jessica Tierney, the Strategic Partnership Manager with Chadwell Supply. Jessica has over 15 years of experience in multifamily industry, and I am excited to hear her insights and her experience with us. Welcome, Jessica, to Thriving in Multifamily.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. So you have a wealth of knowledge, you have insights. I'm sure you're going to have some gems that you're going to throw out there for us. But I want to just kind of start this off just with the fun fact that I found out that Jessica does Derby. You've been doing it for 9 years, and you're also a professional poker player. Oh my goodness. Talk to me about that.
So basically, since I was 15 years old, my mother was going to school to be a dealer for Greektown Casino in Detroit. And she needed a study partner. And that's how this got started. So I would help her at night after school practice. And I got really good at understanding probabilities, statistics, mannerisms, behaviors, because they have you study all of that. And when I was 21 years old, I met my best friend out in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we were staying at the Rio. It was my first time in Las Vegas ever. And I decided to give a shot and play, and learned that I was actually kind of decent at it. And over the course of the past, this would be now, I think, my 11th year of doing it, I've been invited back in these tournaments to play at all of the casinos. And what's really unique about this is that every year, you kind of get recognized by like sponsorships if you're like winning or playing well. And so this year in the two competitions that I'll be part of, it's possible that I could be offered a seat for World Series at some point, which would be super cool. But yeah, I'm not professional. I play for fun. It's semi-professional, but it was a possibility that I could be professional. So it's just become like a fun little hobby for me. And because I'm an analytical brain and a creative brain, it's really fun to be able to pick people apart, to see that most of poker is based around what people are doing around you. And a lot of people are not strategic, and they wear every single emotion on their face, and body language tells you everything. Or they just look at their cards like an idiot with sunglasses, and you can see everything that they have. So as long as you're observant, you're playing with a bunch of amateurs. So I also too like to play like I'm a dumb girl, and that I don't know what I'm doing. And then I get like these, guys around me that are like, oh yeah, well you just do this and you focus on this. I'm like, well, now I know your game. Now I know what you're going to be playing with. I know exactly how to read you. And now I'm going to take your money. So
oh my gosh.
that's kind of how that all happened. So in roller derby, I played college softball. I got hurt my like final year, and I still wanted to be athletic. And at the time, I was a store manager for Hot Topic. I was 19. 19. And I was working at Hot Topic, and at that point I was still in, college, finishing my college years. It was like a little part-time job because it was right by where I went to school. And there was a bunch of girls that used to come in all the time. And after I got hurt and I couldn't play my senior year in college softball, they asked me to join the team. And it turned out that I actually really liked it. And it also relieved a lot of aggression because you kind of beat people up in it. It's kind of fun. And being so small, it was very easy for me to get around a rink. And I didn't know that in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I'm from, the south parts of Detroit. It was a big deal there. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Whip It with like Drew Barrymore and all of that.
Yes, I have. Okay.
a lot of the roller derby was filmed in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So like because we had like real derby rinks and stuff there, so like they did a lot of filming out there, and so it's just it became like a big culture up there. So I was part of Motor City Dolls and a whole bunch of stuff. So I did that for a long time, and then as I got older, fell into multifamily, and time didn't allow me to play anymore. And then I ended up down here in Florida on the vendor side. So that's just a little snippet of me.
No, I absolutely love that snippet of you, and to do roller derby and all of that you have just said. I'm like in awe of that in itself. But I remember that movie, and oh my God, that is so cool. But yeah, that talk about some aggression out, right? That is too amazing. So that kind of really leads into like, my first question and kind of talking and diving into this episode where you talk about your passion, right? You're passionate about problem solving. How do you continue to pave the way to leveraging technology for increased organizational efficiencies? I know that.
I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, technology is going to be where we're headed. It's never going to go away. Technology is going to be used in everything that we do. From an organizational standpoint, human error creates a lot of process problems. So the more that you can automate, the better that it's going to be, right? From the multifamily side, with how many resident relationships you have, or inventory wise for your maintenance, leasing applications and everything. The way that they used to keep track of those things before technology was utilized was literally pencil and paper, and you would miss a lot,
Yeah.
and then credit screenings and backgrounds weren't really a thing, and so you were
Hmm.
living among people that you had no idea who you were living among. So without those things, like you can't really, as a business, control your bottom line. You can't really oversee or project what you're going to look for as you grow your business or expand or buy new projects. And from a vendor standpoint, I mean, how do you forecast, with your suppliers? How do you forecast for your customers?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have that visibility or the technology to see what your best case, worst case scenarios are, there's not a really way to plan.
Mhm.
And from as large of an organization, as multifamily is from both sides, being management side and of course vendor side,
Yeah.
we can't properly support each other without that visibility.
Ah, gosh, you're hitting it right on the nail. That's some really good points that you made right there, which kind of goes into, like how do you keep up with those latest trends and changes, and especially within multifamily and operations and best practices within our industry? What is your insight on that?
A lot of it's going to be about doing the research. I'm really big about reading articles, especially from an ALN standpoint, or of course looking at the Multifamily Insider.
Hmm.
Units is a great resource, but and then of
Yeah.
course all the third party platforms out there, Yardi, Ops Technology, all of them are going to give you the idea of forecasting and what futuristic needs are going to be from a technology standpoint, what new markets that they're trying to penetrate, and what type of technology
Hmm.
to introduce with that. Some of the biggest things is going to be artificial intelligence. I mean,
Ah,
that is really expanding right now.
yeah.
And from an AI standpoint, the idea is not to replace people, it's to replace function
Mm,
that human error occurs, which is a
yeah.
misconception out there. A lot of people think that AI is to replace humans, and it's not. It's to essentially make us more efficient in order for us to focus on the true process around that technology so we're producing the correct results. So from a
Yeah.
business standpoint, it's important to be well versed in all of those tools and to
Hmm.
understand where the markets are heading, so you can be forward thinking and ahead of that curve and be able to
Hmm.
provide the process and support that change, organizationally speaking, so we can of course continue to maintain business, grow, and serve our customers.
That is so true. I sit here and think about the whole new trend with the AI and how people are really scared of it, like it's going to take away. And at the end of the day, it's about enhancing. It's about being more efficient. It's about, if you're not hopping on the new trends or just learning about the new trends and the resources of that and incorporating and making sure we don't leave out the human aspect of it, it could be very successful on that. So I agree with you on that. So how do you set yourself apart? When it comes to incorporating that with you out there.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I can take away, at least from our customer standpoint, is that I was one of them. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's very simple for me to look at an operational day to day activity and what they experience and where the pain points are from the experience that I held. And for
Yeah.
the fact that I did both sides of the business, renovation and
Mm-hmm.
MRO, I worked for private investors, I worked for management groups directly. So I understand the banking procedures and the limitations that are required for reporting to have the money to do what you do. That I want to be able to provide the best resources to help them with that day to day, but obviously position Chadwell in the right way to serve them and earn
Mm-hmm.
their business for. So I like to appear more as the hero in their scenario because turnover is really high right now.
Yeah,
So for
yeah.
us, like I literally created a whole entire procurement assistance program within Chadwell Supply to help them with these tools that they use every day. So we
Wow.
train, we provide resources. I help them get connected with their tools so that if they need to onboard or
Mm-hmm.
do something differently, they have a contact person. But we are the only supplier in the market that has that side of the business.
Wow, wow. I love that. I love how you really set that up and how to set yourself apart, especially with so much competition, your competitors out there. But at the end of the day, it's about staying ahead, right? And that trend. So I really like
Mhm.
that. So also with just kind of like navigating this and kind of shifting a little bit and being that, we're speaking about women in multifamily and you have created and inspired, and this is your journey. Have this always been your passion as far as your purpose and your journey of, where you're at right now or where you've grown to or wanting to grow to?
Chadwell Supply is the proud sponsor of Multifamily Media Network. Chadwell Supply is the largest privately owned MRO supply company and is committed to the multifamily industry. They deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. Chadwell Supply offers valuable resources such as maintenance training, a dedicated renovations team, and procurement platform assistance, ensuring multifamily properties operate more efficiently. Now, by partnering with Chadwell Supply, they'll help communities rather stand out in an increasingly competitive market. So learn more at chadwellsupply.com/difference.
No, actually, yeah, no. So, right when I was in high school, I did dual enrollment, and I actually wanted to make movies. So I
Oh,
did
okay.
vocational school. Yeah, so I did vocational school for video production and telecommunications. And right after school, I was certified in that. I had moved to California. I worked on a couple of music videos for some local bands out there, and then I worked on a
Oh.
TV show for a short bit of time. But then recession happened.
Mm.
And so I moved back, and this is where my 19-year-old self started in the roller derby and hot topic world. Was when I moved back to Michigan and needed to start over and figure it out. Well, I got an apartment. It was me and my brothers, and went into the office one day so I could pay my rent. And while I was in there, I was listening to this leasing consultant tell a person who was trying to rent the same apartment I was in that they could utilize this alcove as a bedroom. And me being me, I was like, no, you can't. And this is why. And like explain to them like the workarounds that it'd be more like you could put a futon in there, take a tension rod, throw a curtain over it. I said, but it doesn't have a closet. There's only one centralized window and it's directly related to the living room. I was like, but if you set it up like this, you could probably make it work if you have like a smaller, kid, but just keep in mind there's no door. So for a safety standpoint, that may not be the right route. Well, about a day later, I got a call from the area director who happened to be there the day that I said all that and offered me a job. And I was like, all right, well, I will stay at Hot Topic part time and I'll just do this to fulfill money while I'm doing school. And I became a leasing consultant for an apartment community that I lived in. And
Wow.
fast forward, yeah, I just kind of fell into it. So fast forward, into my first year, like I was actually like really good at it, and I decided to switch my major in school. So that I could focus more around, the business management part of it, in addition to financial, for international and national, and then marketing. So then I had like all three of these ideas going, and I just kind of that's what I did. And I just kept growing within the company, because then I went into their sales management program. They had me moving like all over, like state to state, to help like fix or lease properties up or go through refinance. And finally, by the end of it, I ended up with my master's in marketing, 2 different bachelor's degrees, and ended up blowing up in the industry, and was known as the fixer throughout that. So I would go into these properties and fix them, or if the lease ups were failing, I would go in and get their
Ah.
occupancy where it needed to be and move on to the next thing.
Wow. Wow. I mean, just sitting back listening to your story is so inspiring, because I think at the end of the day, we all fall into this industry some kind of way, right? But I love how you just sit there and took control. It's like, no, this is how this is. And that director's like, oh, I need her to come on board. But look where it led you and where you're at today. And I think that is amazing in itself. But that just goes to show you just the way we paved the way for, ourselves as women in our industry, but still working hard towards that and being somewhere. So, who motivates you? If you had one person or two people, or, who motivates you to continue to keep going and continue striving for what you want?
So, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for, my like, husband and stuff, like, I really don't think I would have pushed through as much as I did. I think that
Mm-hmm.
he's a big driving force for why I stuck this out for as long as I have. I think that he's, really taught me like that I can do more than what I even thought. And, from this like little creative, strange kid to, a 38-year-old woman that's like, moving through a very male dominated industry at a high rate. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel that he really motivated me to really show them what I got.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even though I had to start over moving down here, it allowed me to see how much more value I had and what all the
Mm-hmm.
different markets that I was in, the uniqueness that I could bring to how to look at stuff,
Yeah.
and for the fact that I am a problem solver. So.
I love that. I love how the support, right, with your husband, but also
Mhm.
just the fact that he kept reminding you about being yourself, right, and being unique and standing out amongst all of this male dominant, like you said, industry, and being where we're at right now. And I think it's so true that we have to be ourselves. We have to be okay with that and still work hard to kind of continuously to grow within that. But also it's very empowering for anyone out there to listen to that. And I think that's one thing I love about, sharing these stories and hearing these stories. But what are some practical steps that you take to discover your purpose or passion? Your passion is problem solving. And I know, if anyone else out there, what kind of practical steps would you say, hey, this is how you can do it to get to there?
I think the biggest thing that people like have to learn is that you're not going to be able to dive right into something and have every answer. I think
Mm-hmm.
that educating yourself on those steps, it depending on obviously the subject matter, but for me, it's knowing, okay, from this perspective, what will we look at for this side of data, and what does
Mm-hmm.
that data mean, and then how do we
Mm-hmm.
drive that to be different?
Mm-hmm.
So like from a tool standpoint, we want to look at how many users are using it. And if we're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
have more, why aren't they using it? And what
Mm-hmm.
are the data behind that to make us want to show them different on why they should use it?
Yeah.
But you just got to do a ton of research. And some people don't want to do that. They want the quick, fast, and easy. And in today's world, that's not real. You need to spend the time researching, because in order for you to be
Mm-hmm.
successful, you need to be prepared in every aspect that it could be.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is true. It's all about the research. It's all about learning. We have tools out there to help you grow, to help you become more efficient, but also just to get some kind of growth, inspiration from, right, at the same time. And I don't think people, like you said, utilizes the technology out there to be better. And yeah, things don't happen like this overnight. I think we wish they did. I wish I did think that they happen overnight, but it doesn't happen like that. So I think that you made some really great valid points on that. Where do you draw your inspiration? Like, what's that biggest inspiration for you, or what media type of inspirations do you listen to or read or follow that kind of draws that?
So for me, it's always been I've had a very interesting growing up, and I definitely don't ever want to be told no. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's an internal drive on where I always want to be able to have no limits. It's an internal motivation, really. And,
Mm-hmm.
also, once again, like being a male dominated industry, like I definitely want to make sure that I can stand up with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and be recognized in no matter what way, and provide at a different level. As for anything reading wise or, mentor, type feel,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really read anything that inspires me in that way. It's just more based around the industry and being in it for so long and
Yeah.
seeing what I've
Yeah.
seen and watched the evolution of the industry, that I
Yeah.
wanted to be the part of the impact. I wanted to be
Ugh.
part of the growth. I wanted to be part of the leadership that people will look up to or
Mm-hmm.
see and want to inspire to be the same. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be that trendsetter. So
Ah, I love that you said trendsetter because that's what you are. As I'm sitting here listening to your conversation, you're going to inspire someone else out there that's going to be like, you know what? I could be the trendsetter too. I can take it to the next level. But you're also, it's like providing the value of knowing your worth and knowing who you are and how you can grow and build that. And I love everything about that, Jessica, as far as within our conversation and just listening to the practical steps that you can give someone else out there to be able to say, you know what, I can do that. I can be like that. And I can continue this walk in this path as well. So, how do you balance work and life? Your work life balance. I know sometimes that's really hard and sometimes it's really easy, but, how do you do it?
So for me, this is the first time in my entire career where at 5 o'clock the day's done. It's not been like that before because when I was,
Mm-hmm.
in property management, you were responsible for those residents 24/7. You were
Mm-hmm.
responsible for your staff 24/7. Um, at Chadwell, it's very much like when your day is done, the work can wait till tomorrow. Matter of fact, my boss lectures me if he sees that I'm working on an off day or sees me responding late at emails at night. So I think Chadwell does a really good job in making sure that you have that work to life balance. But for me, that I had to really practice this because for 15 years I did not. It was just work, 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 work. And that was just because you had to respond to people because there's emergencies that happen all the time. It didn't matter what day or night. So it took about a year and a half of practice to get better at this. I'm still not perfect at it by any means, and it's because I do care about my staff and I do care about
Mm-hmm.
the company performance. I care about our customers. So it's hard for me
Yeah.
sometimes to turn it off. But I have found that, once 6, 7 o'clock hits and things like that, that if I go and listen to music or, go to the gym, is kind of like my outlet to get out of work mode to decompress.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even get in TikTok land for like 2.5 hours and I didn't even realize it was 2.5 hours. And I'm like, oh wow, it's like 9 o'clock at night and I've done nothing but sit here and scroll through TikTok. But anything to essentially numb my brain down enough to stop thinking about the day is what helps me really disconnect.
I love that you referenced TikTok at the end because I tell you I have that same problem. I don't know what it does, but it does make you go down the rabbit hole very quickly before you realize. But I love kudos to your boss that tells you, time off, stop, and gets upset with that because I think we don't see that enough. And you've got to have that mental break as well too, but also making sure that you're carving out that time for yourself and your team. So, Jessica, being on this podcast, I have absolutely loved listening to your story, how you got started, where you're at and your inspiration that you draw. Is there anything that you want to tell the world as far as any encouraging words, any kind of, lasting thoughts? The floor is yours to speak.
I think that it's important for every woman in the industry to know that your passion is not aggressive, your passion is not a problem. I think that being passionate and being worthy of being in a leadership role is an amazing compliment. I think
Mhm.
that the world needs more passion. I think that we need to be able to look at that as a benefit and a need in order for, the things that is happening today in the world to be more positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that as long as everybody continues to do the right thing and you push, you'll get there. And don't let
Yeah.
anybody tell you any different. Your uniqueness, be unapologetically you always. And I think that you earn more respect that way. And that is like a mantra that I beat to every single day. And if I had $1 for every time that I was told that I was too passionate or I needed to let things more so roll off me, I would be a billionaire. But I didn't let that change me. And I kept doing what Jessica does. And that's how I am where I'm at right now.
Um, that's okay. I'm inspired. I'm inspired by that. And I love how you say be unapologetic you. We should hashtag that. Hashtag unapologetically you. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's amazing.
Yes.
And I think that's some amazing words of encouragement for anyone out there. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode, Women in Multifamily. I think it's a great series that I am working towards and working on. Again, my name is Lissi Daniels, your host, and this is brought to you by Thriving in Multifamily and Multifamily Media Network. And stay visionary out there, people. Talk to you guys soon. Bye. All righty.
Thank you again to Chadwell Supply for sponsoring this episode. Chadwell Supply delivers unforgettable service with next day delivery, online and in-person maintenance training, procurement platform, assistance to make your ordering simple. Visit chadwellsupply.com/difference to learn how Chadwell Supply will make your day better.